Hey, what's up? It's Britt and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi and welcome. I'm so excited you're here. We are going straight into another episode of the Declutter series. If you are not new here, welcome back. You know that I have been creating intentionality in my life in every single way as someone who wears many hats as a business owner, as a multi-passionate business owner, and as a mom of 3 and wife. I am carrying many different roles, and this year one of my goals was to just really add in some more intentionality in my spaces, in my business, in my schedule, and just really create some good flow. So if you have not seen the rest of the series, then I will link it below in the description box. And it is truly a great process of just seeing how much we have and can kind of get rid of and declutter, but at the same time too, we really gain so much more control of our space. And for me, this was so freeing. This by far, doing our girls' room, was the hardest part for me. And I'm kind of glad that I saved it for last because I knew it would be hard. So if you are not new to my world, then you know I have 3 little girls and they all share a room here. They're still younger. They're 8 and under. So they're still very close. They're all on the same schedule. We're out of the baby phases. And with that has come a lot of clothes and a lot of toys. And with this, we've tried many different ways to do this. We've tried doing the basement with just toys. We've tried making specific toy areas. We've tried having separate dressers, and it's just ended up in amounts of chaos. And I think what really helped seeing through this is how many things I was holding on for myself versus my kids. And when I was going through this, it was definitely exhausting. I had to take a break afterward, especially as a content creator and running my agency. I just needed definitely some letdown time after this, but it was so worth it. So I definitely want to share my tips coming from a mom's perspective and someone who I think just leans more so on the side of wanting to save things just in case. I'm definitely more of a sentimental person than my husband, but I always want my kids to never hurt for anything. And I think that can be a slippery slope for some things when it comes to holding on to extra clutter. So, like I said, having 3 girls, we have lots of hand-me-downs. And funny enough, our girls are actually pretty similar in size. We get lots of questions, really as of lately, if they're twins or triplets. They're very similar and they share a lot of things and are just slightly off in size and height, but they're very similar there. So these 3 baskets here, when I go through and do laundry, this is one of my favorite tips to share with other moms, is I will go do a load of laundry all together. I've tried sorting them before and then doing everyone's load separately, or like the girls and ours, but I just started doing them all together, and then I would separate them through baskets and fold them individually. That way, if I ever got interrupted, then I could pick up exactly where I left off, and it has worked so well. So here I'm going through the clothes that I recently did the laundry. So obviously these are going to be a lot of things that they've worn, and I'm going through each one, just going through and figuring out what we need to keep, what we don't. And as you can tell, this is sped up just a little bit, but before I did not let myself think. And I think that was the best part about it, is going through and trying to just detach my emotions from it. Of course, I'm listening to an audiobook, so I think that helped a little bit too. I am a true crime lover. You can see I'm a huge crime junkie. If there's any crime junkies out there, hey. And this one I'm listening to a thriller on Audible. That's been one of my favorite things lately. If you ever need recommendations, please let me know. I'm happy to share. So through here, I'm looking through and definitely picking out any of the more obvious pieces, and then I'm going back through again. Like, this is a sweater my middle has had, and she likes wearing it, and I kept questioning it, but it's a little too small. She more so was just wearing it because she loves to have her own sense of fashion, but we have better pieces. You know, these are jeans right there. They were like jeggings. They don't fit very well, but it was one of those, I'm keeping my favorite pieces and then leaving it. So this is our shared dresser. We've had separate dressers before, and I don't know if it's just been kind of like a post-pandemic thing where the quality has just been horrible. So far, my favorite dresser is the IKEA Hemnes, as I think you say it. So this is actually the dresser that I moved out from my closet and repurposed in theirs. And the best thing that I can say, especially having 3 girls that are all in the same space, is I kept it to a 1 drawer method. And it worked so well. I wasn't quite sure. Sometimes a lot of decluttering and organizing is figuring it out as you go, but now being on the back side of it, the inside of it, it worked out so well. So I pulled everything out and I'm laying everything as far as shirts and pants. And of course they have a separate drawer for like their jammies and socks and whatnot. So like this is a shirt I loved. It was more newer, but of course it had a stain on it, and I sit here and go, oh, well maybe I can go and get that stain out. But to be honest, I already tried and it was not coming out. So it's just one of those things of just letting go on. Like I'm just keeping it just to, I was like, maybe she can have it for play clothes, but like she has enough shirts for play clothes. Like this is my youngest. She has 2 older sisters. She's got more than enough shirts. So it was kind of letting things go like that. So this was my first initial sweep when I went through each of their drawers, and you'll see I'll do a second sweep at the end when I kind of see how many t-shirts they have, how many pants they have, how many shorts they have, and I'll limit it from there, and then I place them back in the drawers. So it's just kind of that first bit, so don't be too stressed in it if you are going through this, especially with having hand-me-downs and whatnot. I also kind of kept like the things that I knew that they absolutely loved, and then the things that I knew they just absolutely would not wear anymore. And so, like I said, it ended up being harder for me. I definitely also had to do this when they were at school. And so you'll see it gets a little bit darker in the video because I think they're not quite there though of letting go of things and kind of that object permanence. So, yeah, definitely recommend doing it when the kiddos are not there. And like, I think the best thing is they didn't even notice. The other thing I want to touch on, and I didn't get a ton of footage on this because I was just trying to do it. This was, I think, the most emotional part for me, was going through their toys, because they've definitely gotten a lot of gifts over the years from family out of state. And I think just it's easier sometimes having 3 girls and just kind of figuring out, they all have different likes and whatnot. It's kind of hard to find that middle ground, but I think that's what I just focused on, is keeping that middle ground, the things that they absolutely loved. And so we would get to the point, as you saw in the beginning, with so much stuff and toys that their room would just become overwhelmed with clothes and toys and dress up, and they just felt so overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, let's clean up, and it just was meltdown city. So we really went through and looked at everything, and I think one of the hardest parts for me was getting rid of their pink kitchen. We got rid of an easel, we got rid of a sensory table, which I 100% overpaid for. It's an IKEA one, but I got it from Amazon because this was during 2020, and I absolutely loved it. But if anyone knows me, I've tried so hard to be a sensory bin mom, and I am highly sensitive, I'm highly functioning. It creates such a mess, and it's just one of those things I can't do. Like, I'll do anything else, but I really try it, and it just drives my anxiety wild. So I figured, you know what, I will do other things in other areas of motherhood, but I tried the sensory table, and it would be a huge mess. We'd find rice in the vents forever. So it was one of those things I let go, and it actually, obviously I was the creeper from the window. It went to another mom, it looked like, saw it on the side of the road we call it our magical corner, and the easel and another dresser disappeared, and people were so excited about it. So I love that it went to a good home. I would rather 100% do that than just dump it somewhere. So that made me super excited to do. I think the one thing that absolutely was hardest for me, their pink kitchen that we got them for Christmas, because I think that was their last little bit of babyhood, because they're definitely so much taller now. And then we did get rid of like a baby stroller and their little Target cart. If anyone knows the viral Target cart, it's phenomenal. I think I enjoyed it more than they did. They rarely played with it. And if I'm being honest, my middle one is part pack rat, and she is 100% just did it to put stuff in there. And then it would end up being carried all over the house, and we'd have different things in different spaces. And I was constantly cleaning up just random messes and finding things out of their home. And I think that's where the best way that I'd explain it to him is everything needs to have a home. And if it doesn't, we either need to find a space for that and make sure it has a space, or we really need to see if we use it or not. So that's the conversation I've been having with the kids. The one thing that was very hard for me was this beautiful dollhouse that I got for the girls. It moved with us from Arizona. I found it on OfferUp, I believe, from another woman who had bought it and like was gonna gift it, but she's like, no, like I ended up not needing it. Like it wasn't even put together. It was like she barely opened it out of the box, and I think it was the wrong color or something. So I got it extremely discounted. It was from Pottery Barn. It was beautiful. Like this was my Pinterest dream when I found out not only I was having a girl, but girls, and I was like, I'm gonna get them a dollhouse. And it was something too that at the time financially, like even though it wasn't that much off of OfferUp, like I just felt like we did it. Like I felt like that was one of the things that I was just like, wow, this was almost like on my vision board. This, we made it. I was so proud of us for being able to do that for Christmas and give that to them. But I will be 100% honest with you. It has moved with us and they've done nothing but store stuff in the back of it. They have not played with it once, I believe. And that was at least 5 years ago. And it's just been sitting around. So it was one of those things where I left it outside, and again, it was on the magic corner, and it went to a very, I'm assuming, very happy home. So I'm very glad that somebody else could actually play with it versus it sitting somewhere and gathering dust. So I think that was the biggest thing. I had to let go of that kind of dream and the expectation that I had put on myself as a mom, that was the emotional connection for me. And really, it was just a thing. And my kids, like I said, they didn't even know it was gone. They didn't even know the kitchen was gone. So definitely harder for me. And if you were struggling like that, it's hard, but it's worth it because my kids have never played so much in their room and with all of their toys. It is the most rewarding moment after going through that and having kind of those hard moments. They absolutely love playing in their room, and I've played with them so much in there, and even my husband too. We've been playing Hot Wheels. We kept the Magna-Tiles, of course, they love, and they're up there giggling. I mean, they're being children without the overwhelm and the mess, and I think it's just my favorite thing ever. So this is the pile we ended with. Completely too many clothes. So when I was sitting here looking at this, I'm like, wow, this is why I feel like I'm constantly doing laundry nonstop. This is the after. I highly recommend the one drawer system. It's amazing. It does get a little bit messy because they go through that, but I feel like their independence has skyrocketed. We also had just recently bought these bins, and I was putting their like cardigans that they wear with their uniforms for school and their sweatshirts. I ended up having room in their drawers for them for a couple sweatshirts. I did get rid of some. So this is the end result. And like I said, like the room can just breathe. We also decided to put their bunk bed back up. It just wasn't working because we couldn't snuggle with everyone. But what worked out the best was switching out a kid who was at the top. So that has been working for us so much better, and kind of dividing that one-on-one time. Sometimes it's hard with the 3 different ages of the bunk bed. I just found this at Goodwill. This is the one little addition that I've added so far to the toys. And like I said, just intentionality. And as soon as I brought it home, they've done nothing but play with it. So when, you're getting rid of things, you can absolutely add it back in. The other thing I want to show you guys is these lights that I got. They're amazing. I'm going to link them down below. They're from Amazon. They're USB-C chargeable. The battery on it is amazing. There's 3 different lights on it, 3 different levels of the light too. And they're obsessed with them. We've had a hard time having kind of the kids sit and kind of read and get settled for bed. We do read a book every night together out loud, and they kind of drift off to sleep, and we'll snuggle with them. But they are staying in their bed so much better because they're going to need to sit there and read a book. This is our teeny tiny closet, which is why it didn't work. But this is where we have all of our toys. We have a dress up, we have a Barbie, and then we have just some of the random stuff. But like I said, the storage was just not happening here. But it has made such a difference, and everything just goes back in there and you can't see it. But thank you again so much for joining me on this Declutter With Me series. It's been so fun to film, and even more fun to share it with you along the way and know that you're here with me. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you hadn't already, and I will see you in the next video.